Yeah, I show teddy bear. Yeah.
All right.
Over there. Okay, Assalamualaikum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Welcome back to IIUMTV. My name is Diana Fatini and I am your host for today's show. So in conjunction with the holy month of Ramadan, IIUMTV present to you with a new TV show called the Chit Ramadan. So for this premiere episode, we brought to you a very special, a well-renowned guest. He is famous or well-known in giving motivational speaks. He hosts a variety of shows on YouTube. One of them is Couple Talks, which I watch from time to time on Dokes TV. He is a YouTuber himself. He has his channel ever since 2011. He is a blogger. He is a social media influencer, and not to forget, he is a book author of the famous and best-selling book Unshakable. Please welcome Brother Aiman Azlan.
Thank you for having me. Assalamualaikum, everybody.
All right. So, how are you, brother?
I am well, alhamdulillah, considering the situation. I'm at home with family, so very, very thankful and grateful and excited.
All right. So, how's your Ramadan experience so far with your family, all during this movement control order? How is it going? Maybe, perhaps you can share with the audience.
My Ramadan is, I think we all can agree that our Ramadan this year is gonna be different. No bazaar, no masjid, no going to the masjid. And no tarawih with the whole community. So it's different in that sense. But in another sense, it gave us, the whole family, this perspective. And a moment of reflection of what Ramadan is all about. I mean, when everything is stripped down into its bare essential, you get to see what's really important. And I think it's a good revision exercise for all of us as a community to really revisit what Ramadan actually means. So yeah, we don't have Bazaar Ramadan, but does that mean that Ramadan is over? We don't have like going to the masjid. Does that mean that Ramadan is not here? So we need to we need to rethink all those things. So it's a good thing, I believe, and it's a good exercise as a community.
True. So it means that we also tend to appreciate more, you know. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sorry, I'm multitasking right now. I have my son over here. And I'm talking to you. But don't worry, I listen to what you're saying. Yeah, it enables us to have a lot more appreciation and gratitude.
We tend to take for granted maybe all those time we can go for Tarawih, you know, we tend to not go, but now we're missing those special moments, right?
Yes, we do. Like I miss going to the masjid, definitely. But then at the same time, you get to realize that you can build a masjid wherever you go, like figuratively speaking, right? Your home should be the masjid, or wherever you are right now. Like if you are in the hostel where your university is, that could be your masjid. So yes, not having to go to the actual like physical masjid is something that we all miss. But at the same time, it also enables us to think, okay, can I build or rebuild the atmosphere or the spirit of a masjid at my own home? And that's something that I think is exciting this Ramadan.
Very meaningful, very different, and perhaps we can learn. We can make our Ramadan this year a bit more meaningful, right?
Yeah, definitely.
True.
If we want to, if we choose to.
Yeah, that's another thing also. So without wasting our time, let us introduce with our audience our topic for today. In today's episode, the first episode, we are going to talk about fasting. It's for the mind, body, and also our soul. So we usually think that because we starve ourselves during the day, we don't eat, we don't drink throughout the day, we will tend to get less energy, hence we get tired and become unproductive and whatnot. So where does the connection go? How does fasting enhance our mind, body, and soul? So today we're going to explore that amazing topic with our amazing guest today on how fasting actually helps and boost our mind, body, and also soul. So without further ado, let us move on to the first question. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first question is, what does our mind have to do with fasting? Or how does fasting have to do with our mind?
Okay, first thing first, when you talk about body, mind, and soul, coincidentally, I just listened to a talk by Sheikh Yahya Ibrahim about this particular topic, body, mind, and soul. So I'm gonna like steal, quote unquote, a bit of his points here. But basically, you can't separate mind, body, and soul. You are in all situations. You are all three at the same time. Your body is there, your mind is there, and your soul is there as well. So we separate these three concepts so that we can understand each one better, but it doesn't mean that we can just focus on the body or just focus on the mind or just focus on the soul. All right. So when we do that, or at least when we attempt to do it, we're going to find imbalance. Like, for example, if people are focusing too much on the body, like you go to the gym, you work out, you take care of your diet, but you don't show as much care to your mind or your or your soul, sorry, your mind and your soul, you're going to have imbalance there. The other way around is the same thing. If you focus too much on the soul and not the body and the mind, imbalance will occur. If you focus too much on the mind, not the body and the soul, too much imbalance will occur. So in any of these situations, all these three has to be in balance. So when you ask me, what does fasting have to do with the mind? Because we are all three at the same time. We can't escape to engage all three in whatever that we do. Even if you go to the bathroom, imagine that you're going to the bathroom, doing something that you don't like normally say in a civilized conversation. What you do in the bathroom, right? You don't say it casually. We still engage those three things: body, mind, and soul. I mean, before we go to the bathroom, we say Bismillah, and then we do our business, and then we go out. So in every situation, including fasting, all three aspects of ourself, body, mind, and soul, are engaged. And to think otherwise is a recipe for imbalance. And when you have imbalance, you're going to have issues. When you have issues, that's when you're going to face a lot of unnecessary difficulties in life, I would say. So yeah, that's how the mind relates to fasting, because you can't escape it. And also the idea of hunger, if I can go like directly to the mind aspect of it, the idea of hunger is a physical thing, yes, but how you see it is a mental thing. It's a thing of the mind. So your body feels hunger, yeah, true, but how do you see it? How do you interpret your hunger? How do you see your situation? So right now we're being trained, okay, we're in a difficult situation, i.e. hunger, thirst, we feel not as energetic as usual. So that's the body aspect of it. But now the mind comes in. How does the mind interpret this situation? You can either see it as, well, that's normal. We're fasting. We're going to be a bit lazy sometimes. You're going to interpret that way. That's one choice. Or you could say to yourself, oh man, fasting sucks. I can't wait until Maghrib to come. I even memorized the Maghrib time to the minute. So you could interpret that way. Or you can see this as an exercise of humanity showing solidarity towards each other. Like you realize that, oh, I'm feeling hunger. There are those out there who feel hunger, not just in Ramadan, but outside of Ramadan. So, and also you could see it as a way for you to train your mind to face difficult situations. So when your mind can interpret hunger in a positive way, and hunger is not nice. It's not nice to feel hunger. Nobody's gonna actively seek out that feeling. But if you can make the positive out of that situation, then you can effectively apply the same methodology to all other difficult situations, because it's basically the same thing. It's just in different situations and different circumstances. And that's how I think the mind really relates to fasting, or fasting relates to the mind in that way.
So to sum up your points, you did mention how fasting shapes our mind into our action, right? How we can the same situation, which is hunger, but it can out into different actions. We can be more productive. We can be less productive because we're hungry, or we can become more humane because we now experience those who are in need experience, or perhaps in another perspective, we are training our brain to see the good inside the bad or bad situation. So if you can talk about, so now we know that the power of mind and whatnot. So as we know, during the day we usually eat 3 times a day, but now because if it's the month of fasting, we eat only 2 times a day during iftar and sahur. So
Yeah.
we train our mind to sort of refrain from eating. So how about in changing our bad habits? Does fasting help to change our bad habit? And if it does help, how does it do so?
Well, that's a good question. The first thing that I think fasting does is show you that you can do it. And
Mm,
I think when you can prove to yourself that you can do it, it gives you a sense of hope that, okay, if I can do this, that I could probably do something else as well. That's
true.
probably as difficult or a little bit more difficult than this. So when you put yourself voluntarily in a situation where you challenge yourself and you like challenge your body, you could say, like literally you challenge your body right now. If you put
Mhm.
yourself in that situation and you can persevere, and not only that, you can excel in this situation, then you can show to yourself effectively, you can show to yourself, prove to yourself that, hey, I can do this.
Mm,
Because with change, what a lot of people are facing, that I know of, people who have contacted me, the thing that they're facing is that they don't know if they can do it. And if, let's say, they did do it, they have failed in the past, and they think to themselves, well, there's no point in going further because I have failed. What Ramadan is teaching us is that it's not about whether you get it or you don't get it, or whether you fail or you succeed. It's about being in the process, and to persevere in the process, and to learn from the process. Like right now, we are in the process of experiencing hunger, in the process of feeling tired. And in that process, we learn. In that process, we learn. I mean, I haven't, Maghrib is like 4 or 5 hours away. So it's not the end of the fasting yet. So I don't know if I'm going to finish fasting today, but I still already learn a lot of things from this situation. So it's about the learning process. It's about the learning process. So when you are in the process of changing yourself, yeah, you may not change. At least you may not change the way you hope to change.
mm,
But during the process of change, trust me, you're not the same person as you were before, regardless of whether you reach the end point or not. But the fact that you started the process and you try your best to persevere along the process, that in and of itself is a form of success, you see. So for a lot of people who are trying to change, they have this mindset, it's all or nothing. Either I get the result that I want, or I have failed and there's no point in doing anything else.
changing or
All
making
or nothing,
action.
right? All or
Mm,
nothing. But it's not all or nothing, right? It's about everything. It's about you start, that's something, and then you try, that's another thing, and then you persevere in your trial, and then you learn from the trial. You learn a lot of things in the journey of change, right? And yeah, you may reach your destination, i.e., the change that you want, or you don't reach the destination, i.e., the change that you want. Either way, once you start the process of change, you're not the same person anymore. I
mm,
guarantee you that you're not the same person anymore. Even if, like, let's say you fall back into the same mistake or the same sin, still you're not the same person as you were yesterday. You learn something from the experience. At least you should. If you pay attention, you focus on the process, you focus on the steps that you take, each and every one of them. I believe that is where you can gain the most benefit, and inshallah, that is where you can make it more probable that you're going to change. If
well,
anything, in the month of Ramadan, you prove to yourself a lot, day in and day out, that you can actually do the things that you said you cannot do before. Like a simple example would be smoking. How
mm,
many of the Muslims brothers and sisters right now who are smoking regularly, right now they're not smoking.
mm,
they can harness that self-discipline and that self awareness and strength inside to like stop them
Refrain
from
themselves,
smoking. And it's not easy, for people who are not smoking. Maybe they can't see it, maybe they can't appreciate it, but it's a type of addiction that really mess up your body, your biology, not only your mind. So for them to be able to refrain from smoking during the time of Ramadan is a proof that they can change. And if they can see that, then that in and of itself is a type of motivation that, hey, you can change. You just need to make the conscious choice, persevere. It's okay if you fail, it's okay if you make mistakes here and there, it's okay if you fall back, but at least you know now that you can do it. That's the point, you can do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's it.
That's a really good point. Thank you very much. So when we now know that it's all about our mind, and fasting is training us to become to have a stronger mental strength, and we can do the impossible possible. We can make the impossible possible. So is it the same case in dealing with mental health problems such as depression or anxiety? Does fasting at least contribute a little bit? Is there a connection there or something? If you can.
There is the connection there. Like I said, in all situations we are all body, mind, and soul. You can't separate the three from any individual. You are body, mind, and soul, and to take out any of these three elements would be to cause imbalance in yourself. Now when you talk about mental health, you have to understand something. It's not like, oh, I have this bad habit, I need to change. That's easy to put it in perspective. That's easy compared to having a mental illness. Let me give you another example, okay? Let's say okay, this is an example, okay? Let's say I want to go running. I don't have any like conditions in my body. My heart is okay, everything's okay. I want to go running. It's not easy if you're not used to it. If you don't make it a habit to go running, to go jogging, it's not going to be easy. But compare that to somebody who has asthma, right? So it's not a fair comparison to say to the person who has asthma, why don't you just go jogging and running? Somebody who has severe asthma needs to take care of the asthma first, then go running.
True.
So to relate that to mental health, somebody with depression, for example, they can't just shake it off. They can't just, why don't you just stop thinking about it and just do something else? They can't do that. That's like saying for the asthma person, just go running. No, they have to treat medically. They have to treat the asthma first, and then they can go running. Similarly, they have to treat the depression, the anxiety disorder, the stress disorder, whatever mental illness that they have to treat that first in order for them to have some semblance of functionality and normalcy so that they can continue their life. So it has that relationship with Ramadan, in that right now we're in a very reflective phase, right? And to relate to the previous point, you show to yourself that you can do so much more that you said that you can't do. So for people who have like mental illness right now, perhaps before you think to yourself that you're not strong enough to ask for help. But you show to yourself, this is just you proving to yourself. You're not proving to anyone else. This is you proving to yourself that, hey, you do have the strength to ask for help. Look at you, you're fasting now. It's not easy with the MCO, with like hot weather and things like, it's not easy, but you've shown to yourself that you can do it, right? You can do it. You can condition yourself to do it. The same way you can push yourself a little bit to go ask for help. And it's not a sign of weakness to do that. And I know a lot of people say that they want to deal with it by themselves because they don't want to seem weak. And I get that. I understand that. But understand also that we're not made to live that way. That literally we're not designed, we're not created to live that way. We're designed, we're created to live in a community. And again, Ramadan shows you that we live in a community, even though we're isolated physically, but spiritually and also emotionally, we're connected. I mean, how many of you, like last night, you went during iftar, you Skype your mother, or during iftar, you like turn on the camera and live stream the whole iftar with your family, right? So it still is a lesson in Ramadan that we need each other, and it's not a sign of weakness. It's just a sign that we're human being. And to relate that to mental health, it's a sign that you're a human being, that you need help. It's not a sign that you're weak. It's not a sign that there's like something inherently wrong with you, like in your humanity. No, there's nothing wrong with your humanity. The fact that you're broken down, the fact that you have issues and problems, the fact that you have an illness is a testament, is a proof that you are a human being. And just because we don't experience the same illness as that person doesn't make us better than them. I mean, we have our own issues, we have our own illnesses, be it literal or figurative. We have our own brokenness inside of us. So don't like make this judgment on somebody else's struggle just because we don't experience the same struggle. Struggle is struggle. Yeah, we face different struggles, but struggle is still struggle. If even though I personally cannot understand what depression feels like because I don't have depression, but I can understand struggling. I understand struggling. And even though I can't feel exactly what you feel, I can support you in, like, I can listen to your problems, I can listen to your issues, I can help you maybe find the help that you need, the professional help that you need. And talking about mental health, I put on my website, aimanazlan.com/help, a list of professional services that you can find if you have mental health issues. So that's a way for me to contribute. But yeah, it's a small thing, and I hope that people who have mental health issues, whether they realize it or not, but if they feel like they have issues, reach out. And it's scary, I know. It's difficult, I know. And you may think to yourself you're not strong enough, but just look look at the fact that you're fasting and see that as a proof that you actually do have some strength, and use that strength to, become better. And you can, because mental illnesses, they are treatable, inshallah.
True. So there is a question from our audience. Perhaps I can read it for you. So what do you think about people's mindset where people only turn to God to heal from mental illness, as well as the mindset that people with mental illness are not close to God? What do you have to say for that?
Okay. Good question. So the idea of either you're close to Allah or far away from Allah is an interesting idea. For one thing, you can't measure it, right? You can't measure it. So you can't really say to a person that, oh, you're far away from Allah or you're close to Allah just by seeing them from the outside, right? That's a judgment that nobody can make, because we can't measure. We literally can't measure Iman. We can't measure it. And actually, I'm quite thankful that we can't measure it. I mean, can you imagine if we can measure Iman? I mean, right now, even without the ability to measure Iman, we're so judgmental.
True.
Imagine if we can actually measure Iman. Like the same way we can measure like exam grades, right? That would be awful. That would be super awful. But alhamdulillah, in Allah's infinite wisdom, He did not give us the ability to measure Iman, taqwa, all these like spiritual elements that are super important. Is not measurable. It's a personal thing between you and Allah.
It's a private thing.
Having said that, it doesn't mean that we can't like in Malay we say we can't tegur, we can't like reprimand, or we can't give advice to people. But again, giving advice still requires you to be non-judgmental in giving advice. Okay, you're not like giving a sentence to that person. You're giving like sincere, compassionate, understanding advice. And to do that, you need to know the person well. You need to be empathetic to the person. You need to be close to the person in order for you to give a valuable advice. Now, to relate back to this idea of like people only turn to Allah when there's issues, I don't see a problem with that. Do you? What is the problem with people turning to Allah when there's issues? They are turning to Allah, right?
Mm.
If that issue that they're facing causes them to be closer to Allah, then isn't that a good thing?
Mhm.
Isn't that a good thing?
True.
I mean, just think about it. Think about it. You complain the fact that they turn to Allah because they have issue. Why do you complain? They turn to Allah. Be grateful. Maybe that is an asbab or a means for them to turn to Allah, and not only that, change their lifestyle. We don't know. Again, we can't measure these things. That's the beauty of this idea of not being able to measure these things. There's a hikmah behind it. The hikmah is that we don't know. We have no idea. We have no idea. And to say that, oh, the person is far away from Allah or close to Allah, I mean, really, we have no idea what we're talking about. You can't even say to yourself that you are close to Allah or far away from Allah. You can't even say that about yourself. I can't tell you like how high or low my iman is. I can't show you in a graph. I cannot. I can feel it. I can feel it, but I can't express that feeling in a quantifiable form. It's just something between me and Allah. And that's the point. That's the bigger point here. It's between you and Allah. And you have to be honest with yourself. Don't make that an excuse. Okay? Don't say to people, oh, you don't know my heart. It's between me and Allah. Yeah, it's true. But don't make that an excuse. Okay? Be sincere about it. Okay? It's between you and Allah, but be honest with yourself. If you know that you're doing something wrong, and you know that you need to change, and you know that you can change, then you just owe it to yourself, not to anybody else. You owe it to yourself to initiate the process of change. And that's the idea of this interesting idea of iman, taqwa, and all these things that we mentioned that we cannot measure. And I always find that fascinating. And just again, imagine if we can actually measure it. I mean, right now we're already like just so judgmental. If we can actually measure it, I can't imagine what will happen. But alhamdulillah, Allah did not give us that ability, so that's good. That's good. I mean, even prophets don't have the ability. So what does that say about us? So yeah, that's the question. What do you think about people's mindset where people only turn to Allah when they have issues like mental illness? I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I don't know who said this quote. Maybe it's a scholar. I don't know. Maybe somebody can comment in the comment section. But I remember this quote by somebody that says, if a sin or a challenge or a calamity causes a person to be closer to Allah, then overall it's a good thing. Okay, if a sin or a calamity or a bad thing, like a horrible thing, causes the person to get closer to Allah, then overall it's a good thing. So I'll repeat that twice, so hopefully people get that point. So yeah, that's the idea.
That's a very fascinating point. That's a very good point to say, that we need to say mental illness does have relation with God, whereby we have to return back to God, but it's not the fully way to cure mental illness, right? If you can say that properly.
Well, yeah, again, like I said, you can't separate any individual from the three aspects, body, mind, and soul. Yeah, you can separate. But at the same time, we shouldn't oversimplify things by saying that you have this problem, use this cure. No, we have to understand that every single issue, there's speciality in it. Like for example, if you have diabetes, do you say to that person, hey, just do zikr to Allah and you'll be fine? Do you say that to that person? No, you don't. No, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong about doing zikr. It's good, but you're not really tackling the issue in the way that Allah designed the issue. So we have this concept called sunnatullah, right? Sunnatullah.
Yes, sunnatullah.
So there's these laws of nature, some people call it, or like science is a law of nature, right? So sunnatullah, how things are processed and how things are presented, right? Laws of nature. If you throw something, it's gonna fall down. That's sunnatullah.
Exactly.
Gravity, right?
Yes.
So when you're sick, Like you're physically sick, you have diabetes, you have heart attack, you have high blood pressure. The sunnatullah in that situation is to seek medical help. Go to a doctor. It doesn't mean that you think the doctor cures you. No, you're just following Allah's sunnatullah to go seek the help that you need, and
Professional help.
through it, Allah will present to you a cure, inshallah, God willing, right? Similarly, if you have a mental health issue, mental illness, there's sunnatullah there to go seek professional help. We have counselors, we have psychiatrists, we have clinical psychologists, we have therapists. These people are trained in the knowledge of mental health to help people with mental health issues. So it's the same concept, right? So I like to give whenever I talk about mental health, I like to give the example of physical health, because people get it. When you have heart attack, when you have a heart attack, imagine that you have a heart attack. You don't say to that person, just shake it off. It'll be stupid, right? You immediately bring that person to a hospital immediately. Now, think of another situation. You see a person having a panic attack. Not heart attack, a panic attack. You don't say to the person, just shake it off. Same way, you go get the person professional help. It's the same concept. It's the same concept. So I just want people to understand that about mental illness, because it is an issue where people misunderstand a lot.
True.
So,
Because it's not visible, people tend to underestimate it in some way, right?
yeah, good point. Yeah. When you're hurt mentally, you don't see the pain. You don't see the wound lah, kan? Like if I, let's say, fall down, hurt, bang my head, you maybe see a swollen here, maybe it turns blue, or maybe there's blood coming out. So you see the pain. So you can see it, right, physically. But something that relates to the heart, something that relates to the mind, you can't see it. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not real. Doesn't mean that it's not it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that it
doesn't exist. True.
There. So yeah, something to keep in mind, lah. Something to keep in mind.
True. All right. So I think, we have a very great sharing on the mind just now. We talk about how our mind, fasting can help to shape our mind into different action. Therefore, it's important to have the correct mindset. We talk about how fasting trained our mind in a difficult situation to see the good in it, and also it's to show us that we can do it, that we can change our bad habits, we can change to become a better person, because we face such difficulties, which is restraining ourselves from eating from morning till Maghrib for iftar. So moving on to the next
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so you summarize it beautifully, but I just want to highlight one point.
Yes.
It's not easy. I just want people to appreciate that point. It's not easy. It's not easy to fast. It's not easy to change. It's not easy to get help. It's not easy. So just because we have this discussion, and just because like everything makes sense, it doesn't mean that okay, immediately boom, you're gonna get help.
Change overnight.
Boom, you're gonna change yourself. It's not easy. But and this is the punchline, it's not impossible either, right? Just because something is super duper difficult, it doesn't make it impossible. It's still possible. And holding on to the hope that it's possible, that's what you need to focus on. Not the fact that it's too difficult. I mean, what's in life that's not difficult? Just tell me. I mean, my son learning to walk is difficult for him. It's difficult for him. But after he managed to overcome that difficulty, it's super easy for him now. But he has to overcome the difficulty, you see. He has to fall down. He has to cry. He has to feel the pain. That process needs to be there. And after that, walking is a piece of cake for him. But the process to get there takes a long time, takes a lot of patience, courage, support, takes a lot of strength to get to that point. I just want to highlight that point from your summary, because I don't want people to think, oh, I can fast, therefore I can do this. Super easy. No, it's not. I'm here not to make things easy. I'm here to make things simple. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. So recognize that for people who are struggling, I mean, the word that we use is struggle. It's difficult. So just recognize that for each of us so that we have more compassion and empathy.
Thank you for adding that beautiful point to my summary. So
No
if
worries,
I may
no worries.
ask, if I may ask right now, let's move on to the body part. Let's talk about how fasting can enhance our body. Because right now is because we've been fasting the whole day, we tend to have a feast during iftar. We tend to gobble a lot during iftar. Or maybe because we didn't drink the entire day to quench our thirst, we tend to eat sweet drinks every day. Or maybe because we're fasting, we don't do workout, we can exercise because our body is tired or we feel lethargic. So during Ramadan, is it the opportunity for us to become healthy or the opposite? If yes, so can you explain to us how?
When you ask, okay, is it opportunity to become healthy or not healthy? I mean,
Yes.
the question is interesting and the answer is also interesting. It depends.
Right.
Depends on what? Depends on what you choose,
Mm-hmm.
basically. You can choose to live an unhealthy life during Ramadan or outside of Ramadan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to understand it's a choice. It's a choice. Now, I'm not saying that all choices are the same. Some choices are easier, some choices are more difficult, but nonetheless, it's a choice. Now, I mentioned before that I listened to a talk by Sheikh Yahya Ibrahim. It's about body, mind, and soul. And he mentioned something about the body. Because Sheikh Yahya, mashallah, he managed to lose 60 kilograms.
Wow.
So I met him back when I was in Canada studying there. I met him when he was like 60 kilograms heavier. So I knew him back then. He was quite a big guy again. But now I met him again in Malaysia,
Mm-hmm.
so he's like much thinner. So I kind of feel inspired by him to lose weight as well because my wife thinks I should lose weight. I Anyway, so he mentioned it in his talk that the inspiration for him to lose weight came when there's one psychologist that he met, and that psychologist took his hand, literally took his hand, and asked him, whose hand is this, whose
Mm.
hand is this? And the sheikh was like, "Well, obviously, it's my hand. It's my hand, right? Okay,
Yes.
who controlled this hand?" The psychologist asked, "Who controlled this hand?" So the sheikh
Myself.
was like, "What kind of question is that? I control my hand. It's my
Mm-hmm.
hand. I control it."
Mm-hmm.
So the psychologist asked again, "Who controlled this hand when it reaches for the food and put in its mouth? Who controlled that hand?" Again, the sheikh was like, "Oh, I get it. I get it now. Okay, I control it. I control it." So
Oh.
the 60 kilograms that he had extra before, he can't blame it on anyone else. It's his choice, right? Now, obviously, that example sort of like oversimplify things. I mean, you have to understand like people's psychology, difficulty, trauma, etc., right? But that also shed light on a very major point of that we, although in life there's so many things that we cannot control, that's true.
True.
At the same time, there's so many things that we can control, and one of the things that we can control is our actions, right? Our actions, what we do. So our body, we control our body. That if you eat and if you overeat, you can't blame anyone else other than your own self because you eat, right? Now, me saying that, I have to be self-aware because I am to blame. I am
Mm.
guilty of it, right? I eat a lot. I gained weight after I got married, so I can't like say, oh, ini. Usually, we have this like cover line, right? We say, it's okay. That's happiness, right? All the extra kilograms, that's happiness. No, that's actually fat. Okay, that's not happiness. So Ryan, go over there. Ryan, no, 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 no. Go over there, sayang. Go over there. Go over there. The world cannot see you. Go over there. I know. Nanti Ryan cakap. Ryan, sayang. Hi. Ryan. Later on, I'll give you the chance to speak. Okay, I promise. Okay, after life, after life dah over. Boleh. Okay. Give Papa time. Okay. 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 After. Boleh? Boleh? Cool. Okay. Sorry. Oh, by the way, context. He was mentioning My Little Pony. For all the parents out there, you may relate lah kot. Kan sekarang ni waktu kanak-kanak sedang appreciate banyak kartun. Boleh continue gunting-gunting later. I have to continue talking. Okay. Anyway, control. That's the point, right? So the idea is that you do have control over so many things in life. Now, again, I'm not saying that it is going to be easy. Again, just keep that in mind. Whatever that I say, it doesn't mean that it's easy, but it's possible. It's possible. You control your hand, you control what you eat. So when people talk about, oh, in Ramadan, you can't help but to feast when it's iftar time. No. You can help it. You can control your hand, right? It's not easy. It's not easy, especially when you have like delicious food being served, right? But think of it this way: right now, you have less of an excuse because we don't have Bazaar Ramadan.
True.
Right? We don't have all these like tantalizing influences that we had before. Like if you go out during Asar time, you see left, right, food. Right now, you don't have that. Maybe if you go on Instagram, you may have it, but you don't have it like readily available right now. So you have less excuse now. So right now, you can choose to live a healthy Ramadan, like physically speaking, your body, or you can choose to just indulge and make excuses saying that tak apalah. You can choose to do that. It's fine. But either way, you have to understand it's your choice. And both choices have consequences. If you make the right choice, the consequences will be good. If you make the wrong choice, the consequences will be bad. Understand that, right? Either way, you choose. Okay, so I hand it over to you and also to myself personally. What choices would I make today? Right? So that's the question that we all need to ask ourselves.
Maybe you can share your secret of eating. What do you usually eat during sahur and iftar? And after that, we can go to a question from one of our viewers. Macam rahsia ni.
Mira, apakah rahsia diet Aiman? Oh, that's a funny question. There's no secret. Like I said, I gained weight after I got married, and I'm not proud of it. I wish to get rid of the extra fat. So there's no secret. But I can share with you what my menu is. So since the beginning of MCO, we do a lot of cooking at home, and by we I mean my wife. Right? But I say we. Boleh dapat kredit? Boleh dapat kredit sikit. Boleh. I bought the groceries and she cooked. Okay, so it's a teamwork. Anyway, all right. So during MCO, we do a lot of cooking. So basically, whatever that's available, easy, and because I'm not a fussy eater, I just eat whatever. And I don't mind repeating the same meals. So I'm not that fussy. So yeah, I don't mind. Really, I don't mind. She cooks, I eat. That's it. Full stop. What's my menu specifically? Really. So we have iftar. Could be like rice, chicken, and salad, things like that, right? And a variation of that. Maybe one day chicken masak lemak, the other day chicken masak kicap, the next day chicken pedas, chicken goreng. So it's like chicken, rice, and salad. That's the basic template lah. Chicken, rice, salad. And then air sejuk, air kosong, like mineral water. And then we just keep the meal from iftar for sahur. So we just eat the same thing for sahur. And yeah, that's like the routine for the Ramadan this year. And actually, that's the routine for Ramadan every year, really. We just keep it simple, keep it light, keep it, non-complicated. Because I think my wife and I understand this. Ramadan is not about the food, right? It's quite odd for me that the month where we have to eat less is the month where we have more food. It's kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird because
Mm.
the point of Ramadan is not the food, right? I know you asked about my menu and my secret food ke apa ke kan. But Ramadan is not about food. It's not about food. It's about your connection with Allah. So don't forget. Don't miss the point. Right? Yeah, sure, we can talk about food, we can talk about health, we can talk about all this and that, body, mind, and soul. But the context of it all is your relationship with Allah, right? We have to remember in the Quran, the only ayat mentioning the word Ramadan is the ayat mentioning that Ramadan is where the Quran was sent down.
True.
Shahru Ramadana unzila fihi al-Quran. Now, I know I sound like an ustad right now, but trust me, I'm not. It's just that I memorized the verse. I memorized the sheikh who told me this tidbit of information, and I just relay it back to you. So Shahru Ramadana unzila fihi al-Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah. There's this one verse, the only ayat in the Quran where Ramadan is mentioned, and the only ayat where Ramadan is mentioned, Allah only says this is the month where the Quran was sent down. Meaning what? In this month, the focus should not be the food, should not be even the hunger even. It should be your relationship with Allah. So all these things we are experiencing, our body, our mind, and our soul, it should be in the context, in the framework of our personal, intimate relationship with Allah. That's it. So just understand that point. Yeah, I know the question kind of like not semi-serious question. I understand that you want to know my diet cover kan. But I just wanted to make sure that we don't
Yes, yes.
lose track ataupun basically miss the point lah basically.
True. So we have a question from our viewer. How
Yeah,
to
shoot.
be aware of the process of healing or struggle is more important than the result of achievement, because sometimes we continuously come across our mind, I am still in the process and I will left behind and whatnot.
So in the question itself, you want to pupu? Yeah, go. Ryan boleh pupu sendiri kan? Okay. All right. So in the question itself, there's an answer. Okay. So for the person who are asking this question, in your question, there's a clue to why you are in that situation. Let me explain. Because in your question, and I can see it here, I can read it, I am slow in the process, I will be left behind. That's a clue. That's a clue. That's a symptom. What's the disease? The disease is that you believe it's a race. That's the disease. Because really, I mean, I like to say in Malay, nak kalut pi mana? Nak kalut nak pi mana? Awak kalut sangat ni, nak pi mana? So why are we rushing? Why are we rushing? Why are we so impatient with the process and wanting to get the result instantly, right? Just understand that your journey is a journey. That's the word that we use. It's a journey, right? Even the Prophet used that word, right? Be like a traveler on earth. Be a traveler, not a racer. Don't be a racer on earth. Be a traveler. And a traveler is not really concerned with getting to the destination quickly or slowly. A traveler's concern is the traveling itself. The traveling itself, like the things that you learn in your travels, right? Your direction. Are you in the right direction? Are you heading towards the right direction? And taking some breaks here and there, right? During your traveling, you take a few breaks here and there. So really, even the term traveling that's mentioned in the hadith, be a traveler, right? It gives us this idea, this mindset that in life, we are in a long journey, not in a short race, but we are somehow, I don't know, programmed, maybe brainwashed, I don't know. We're somehow being led to believe that we're in this race and we're going to be left behind. That's the clue. That's the clue. You're not left behind because you're not in a race. When you say I'm left behind, that shows me your mindset. Your mindset is that you're in a race, right? But if you think to yourself, I'm in a journey, who cares who's going to reach first? You have to focus more on your direction. Are you heading in the right direction? You have to focus more on the journey. What have you learned in the journey? I like to give this one analogy. One of my favorite analogy. So let's say that you are in a car speeding 300 kilometers an hour. I know it's not possible, lah, but just imagine like speeding, right?
100.
Can you see the view left and right? No, you can't see it clearly, do you? It's a blur, right? It's a blur.
True.
Right?
True.
That's the analogy of people who are rushing
Too
to get
rushed.
to the destination. Too rushed to get to the destination. They can't really appreciate the view. They can't really appreciate the lessons that they get along the way. But if you take your time, not lazily, not like too slow, but at your own pace. And this is where, again, you have to be honest with yourself. What's your pace? Right? You know when you go too slow. You know when you go too fast. And in order to know that, you have to know yourself. Do you know yourself well enough to tell yourself, hey, I'm going too slow. I'm being too lazy. I have to push myself a little bit. Or do you know yourself enough to tell yourself, oh, I'm too fast. I have to slow down. Otherwise, I'll get burnt out. Do you know yourself enough? If not, then that's the key that you need to focus on. Know yourself. Be self-aware. Understand the triggers that your body is telling you. Your body is probably screaming at you to stop right now because you are way too fast. Let me tell you something that happened 2 days ago. Is it 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago. Bila awak tu yang abang pening kepala tu? Yang abang pening kepala berdenyut tu. Is it 2 days ago Well, anyway, long story short, my website had an issue, a technical issue. And I'm not a technical guy, but I don't have a technician to refer to. So I have to figure out how to solve the problem myself, right? And maybe some of you are aware of the technical issue. So people who like buy my webinar or my online class, they can't access the online class or the webinar. So I've been trying for a few days to fix that issue. Okay, just follow along with the story. There's a point at the end. So I've been doing this for like 2 or 3 days, trying to find a solution to this very technical problem that I don't have any expertise on. So I just Google here, Google there, ask people around, ask people who know about this stuff. And then finally I get to solve the problem, alhamdulillah. But in the middle of it, I think it was day 2, I had this, headache, like really like a headache, like berdenyut we say. Because I've been pushing myself, right, to solve this issue. Yes. Ryan sayang mama, thank you. To solve this issue. Nak sayang papa? Okay. Saan? Okay, thank you. Okay, alright, thank you.
Best shot in the world.
Alright, thank you. So that headache was a signal that saying that I am moving too fast, I am rushing myself, I am pushing myself too much. So I decided to take a break and just sleep, like take a short nap. And after that, I feel better. That's just a simple example that happened recently to show you that we're all susceptible to this. Even though I know that life is not a race, but it doesn't mean that I'm immune to it. You see, it's a human condition to want things quickly. There's this sense of impatience inside of us that we want things quickly. And I think it's normal, but it's a normal problem that we have to solve, you see. Yes, it is normal, but it's a normal problem. It's still a problem that we need to solve. So we need to train ourselves to be more patient, to train our mindset, to not see it as a race, but see it as a journey. Do not see it as, oh, I am going to be left behind. There's no such thing as being left behind when you are in a journey. You just enjoy the journey. You're a traveler, remember? You're a traveler. You're not a racer. So I think that'll be the key to unlock the solution to this particular question. But again, not easy. To figure this out is a journey in and of itself. So I hope that you'll be patient with yourself in finding that way out.
Okay, so we did talk about how fasting enhance our body, and it's in our hands, it's in our choice whether we want to choose to be healthy physically or choose to be unhealthy physically. And then we talk about how life is a journey, it's not a race whereby we don't have to compete. We are competing with ourselves every day, actually. We're not competing with the people around us. It's within ourselves. We're trying to become better than who we are yesterday. So if you are making a little progress, that is a progress. If you become better person tomorrow, you are making progress to yourself, for yourself, because the change is not for you to prove other people around you. It's for yourself. It's your journey. It's your life. You know, you don't impact people, couple. It's you. The change is for you. If you do it for people, then that's why you feel like you're left behind. You're not in the same league with the rest of the other people, right? If I can, add to your points. And
Oh
again,
yeah,
it's
yeah, definitely, definitely. No, 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 no. What you just said, I think people should take note of what you just because I'm the speaker today doesn't mean that you can't. I mean, your point is like spot on. Thank you for adding on that point. Yes, you're right. Yes, people should take note of it.
Thank you very much. So before we move on to the question, you did mention that fasting is not about eating. That's why we are now moving on to the most important element and the most important discussion, which is regard to our soul. So we know that this month is the opportunity for us to get closer to Allah. It's the month of Quran. It's where the shaitan are locked out to make way for us to focus on our ibadah. But my question is, where do we start? Because I'm actually also very clueless. We have all of these things. Oh, we should do this, we should do this, but where do we actually start? Where do we start on the journey of rejuvenating our soul, making this Ramadan meaningful for us, so that it can actually enhance our soul? If you can explain that.
Okay. So to answer that question, where do we start? Well, you have two possible scenario. Scenario number one, you know your priority, right? Like for example, you have a list of, let's say, a few things that you need to change within yourself, and you know, okay, this thing is more important than this thing. If you have a list like that is arranged according to priority, like number one, number two, number three, number four, that's great. Just start with number one. Don't overthink it. Don't think too much about it. Just pick number one and just focus on that. Focus on that and that alone. All right, because that's priority number one, right? So just focus on that. Don't think to yourself, oh, I need to do three at once. No, no, no. Just take number one. Just focus on that. And one other thing is, don't compare yourself to other people. When you see somebody else progress like fast, or progress like in two or three things at one time, don't compare yourself to that other person. Again, that's a racer mindset. You see, somebody who's racing, he's always going to see who's behind him, who's in front of him, who's beside him. He's always going to see those things. But somebody who is in a journey, like you said, is focusing on himself or herself, competing with the self, not with anybody else. So if you have a priority set, just pick number one and just go with it. Don't overthink it. Just start. Start right now. Start right now. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is, like you said, let's say you're clueless. You know you need to change, but you don't know like which one you need to change. You don't know the priority. You don't know which one you need to change. Okay. So in that particular case, just pick anything. Pick anything, right? Because you're not sure. Okay, is this more important? Is this more important? You're not sure. Just pick anything, because you need to create that momentum, right? You need to create that momentum. Just pick anything and just start. And once that momentum is felt, when you feel that momentum, when you're moving, right? I'm going to make a prediction that once you're moving, you're going to get more motivation to change in other areas as well. But you need to start moving, right? The worst thing to do is to sit there, do nothing, but then worry about everything.
True.
Because you're not creating momentum and you're not really creating any change. What you're creating is more and more anxiety. And you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want to create more and more heavy burden. They'll like really make it more and more difficult for you to move. So in scenario number two, let's say you're clueless, you don't know where to start, pick anything. Let's say you have a
Maybe
list.
a simple zikir after prayer, right? A very simple thing, right?
Anything that you think to yourself, I need to change that, just do that. Do it right now. Do it. Don't overthink it. Just do it and focus on that and that alone. Create the momentum. Create that momentum. And once you feel the momentum, inshallah, you're going to have more motivation to do other things. It's momentum.
When we talk
So, yeah.
about momentum, it's about consistency, right? It's the matter of you being consistent after that, after the month of Ramadan, right? Not only during Ramadan you manage to recite the Quran every day, but after Ramadan you tend to left the Quran because during Ramadan, because everyone is reading the Quran, you tend to read the Quran, so you also want to follow the pace, and then right after Ramadan you tend to leave it because it's not not everyone is doing it as Ramadan, right? Just
Good point. Yeah, consistency. That's a good point. But you have to understand, consistency is not automatic. Even when I mentioned momentum, right? My wife is a physics teacher. She can like back me up on this. Momentum. Let's say an object is moving at a certain momentum, and you just leave it like that. Just leave it. You don't do anything. You just leave it, right? In a normal situation, that object will stop. In a normal situation, unless in a vacuum, betul tak Mira? Kalau vacuum dia tak berhenti kan? Yeah, okay. We're not talking about vacuum now. We're talking about on a road, okay? Because we're talking about a journey, right? In a journey, if let's say you have momentum, but then you don't do anything to maintain that momentum, that car or like whatever that you're riding is gonna stop. It's gonna stop. It's gonna stop by gravity. It's gonna stop by the friction. It's gonna stop by the air resistance and things like that. It's gonna stop. Ryan, no. Ryan, no. No. Stay. So basically, momentum, if you want to maintain it, you have to do it manually. It's not going to happen automatically. Istiqamah is not automatic. It's manual. It's manual labor. Okay, so people talk about consistency as if it's going to happen automatically. It's not. First, you need to build momentum. So you need to start. Like I said before, you need to start. You need to get moving. So that builds momentum. And then once you get the momentum, you need to maintain the momentum. You need to keep pushing. Otherwise, you're going to stop. You're going to lose momentum. And then to start again is going to be difficult. Ryan, what are you doing? So yeah, that's the idea of consistency. It's not automatic. Don't think that it's going to happen just by nature. But you have to build it. Ryan, no. Oh, no.
all right.
Please do not push on my son's face, okay? Ryan, no.
All right. I think with your point, that sums up the whole thing that we talked about today, which is to keep the momentum. We talk about how Ramadan can enhance our mind, body, and soul, and we are one entity, and it's all about the matter of keeping the momentum. I'm sure that some of our viewers now are inspired to make a change. And again, it's not easy, but baby steps. We all can do this, and the key is to just keep on pushing and keep on the momentum, like you said, right?
Good point. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you, Brother Aiman Azlan, for joining us today. It is a pleasure to have a great person like you to join our live show. So thank you very much. Thank you to all the audience who've been watching us since the beginning and since now. We hope that you will enjoy this session and continue to watch the rest of the episode. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
No.